Next up, and during the week of Gamescom, was a new Nintendo Direct. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I mean, it was Kirby Air Riders Direct. So it was Sakurai-san coming on screen for about 50 minutes and extolling the virtues of his latest game, which is essentially, for me, disappointingly, it is very much just like Kirby Air Ride, like, again, like two, basically. And there basically... Yeah, it doesn't seem to emphasize the racing as much as I'd like, and it's more focused on other things. It's a very strange game, but that original has a following for sure, especially in Japan for some reason. People seem to really dig this, and I'm certainly willing to give it a shot. It looks beautiful, at least. But Oliver, I mean, you watched this thing. What is your takeaway from this? And did you play Kirby Air Ride?
I did watch it. Now, on the gameplay front, I think, to me, this looks good, but also I've only played the original Kirby Air Ride for like 20 minutes or something.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot of experience with this very unique kind of title here. Some of this stuff passed over my head. All the stuff with the city trial was very interesting, but very involved relative to the typical showing that you see in these kinds of directs. So I'll defer to your judgment on the gameplay side of things to some degree here. But visually, I was kind of reminded a lot of like Smash Brothers Ultimate here. Has a similar visual style, similar kind of particles and hit effects. It has a UI that's very in line with Smash in particular. Like even little insets showing the characters and stuff like that. It sounds like this is a collaboration between Sora Limited and Bandai Namco, and that a lot of the same developers worked on this game.
Just like Smash.
Yeah, just like Smash. This does look a little bit visually like something that could probably work on Switch 1 in some form. There's a lot of baked lighting, simple materials, nothing that really sticks out as something you'd never see on Switch 1. In terms of resolutions, it's operating at about 1440p in the shots I tested. At 60 FPS, it looks like. Without TA or DLSS, which is in line with basically every other piece of Switch 2 software that has Nintendo characters in it. But there's definitely some post-AA in here, though, I think. Maybe some post-AA, maybe some FSR1, something like that. That's what it looks like. Which is a little bit tiring at this point, but... You know, it looks good. It looks good enough. It's 60 FPS. You know, at least that's very appropriate for this kind of game. I don't really think there's anything to complain about here. But again, this is probably in that kind of, you know, maybe originally developed for Switch 1 software that's now on Switch 2, that's running at a little bit higher res, 60 FPS, whatever. That kind of thing, right? It's not necessarily that kind of boundary pushing piece of Switch 2 software like a Luigi's Mansion 4 or a Xenoblade Chronicles 4 or something like that, which might come down the line, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Indeed. But, you know, we'll check it out when it comes. I guess I'm happy that Sakurai gets this chance to make something that seems like he really wants to make, right? He's been slaving over Smash Brothers for decades at this point. There was Kid Icarus in there at some point. And between that and you look at what he's doing here with Kirby Air Riders, it's clear that he has like a certain desire to make these games that on the surface seem kind of simple, but they're like buried with a lot of like strange and interesting mechanics that turn it into something completely different.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. I will say, you know, I saw this on the show floor running. It looks really good live. I mean, it's super smooth and nice motion blur. It's got an attractive art style. It's definitely a beautiful game. It's what you would expect, I would say, from them on that. So
yeah,
cool.
Definitely like the animations and the kind of impact and the kind of kinetics of the riders moving on the screen. Looks really exciting. Looks very, very, very polished, I would say. And one thing I like about the Kirby Air Rider, the original game Kirby Air Ride in this game, is you have all that variety between the different riders and their vehicles, where like in Mario Kart, you know, the difference between various carts and bikes is usually just a couple tweaks of like a mini turbostatic acceleration or a weight. But here it's like, no, they turn totally differently. They boost totally differently. They have completely different mechanics. Some are in the air, some hover, some, you know, have higher flying stats, some are solely ground vehicles, things like this. So that does seem to be a more interesting kind of iteration on this kind of kart racer concept, as Sakurai himself put it. It's kind of like Mario Kart, but it's also nothing like Mario Kart in the way that it seems to play. So I think it's an interesting kind of spin on this racing game.